Welcome to your weekly airplane news update. We have 4 stories for you this week. The Garmin Autopilots have been approved for, or certified for the Cessna 172. There was a major IACRA glitch. We'll talk about that because that was a mess. A JetBlue flight had to take evasive action to avoid a Learjet. And then lastly, we have an unfortunate story of an air ambulance that broke apart during flight, killing 5 people. So let's get to it. Your first story this week is that Garmin received a supplemental type certificate, or STC, for the GFC 500 Autopilot, and that includes Cessna 172 Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, which are much older aircraft, the 175 Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and then the Commander 112 and 112A. The GFC 500 integrates with a bunch of other Garmin products, including the GI 275 and the G5. The Autopilot controller includes a bunch of stuff like a bunch of keys, knobs, a control wheel, a level mode, along with Smart Glide, and then a number of other protections, including overspeed, underspeed, and then pre-selected altitude. So that's a cool update. Your second story this week, not such a good update, is that IACRA, the FAA certification application website, had a major technical issue that caused a bunch of applications to be deleted. This means that if you registered for IACRA between February 26 at 11:45 p.m. Central and 5:30 p.m. on February 28, you'll need to create a new IACRA account. To complicate the matters, the FTN numbers that were still being created during that time, which means that if you took the FAA written exam, gave them a FTN number that you may have had at the time, it means that that FTN number could have been assigned to somebody else in the meantime, which means that their application number is not going to match with yours, and it's going to be a big mess. So what you need to do at this stage is, if you created a new account, you took the written exam during that short period of time, you need to contact the IACRA help desk so that they can figure this out. I'm not sure how they're going to fix it, whether they're going to reassign your written exam number to the new FTN number, or I'm not sure, but they'll have to figure this out. So that was a bit of a mess, and quite a few of our students were caught in the middle of this. Your third story this week is another runway incursion, this time at Logan Airport. A JetBlue flight that was coming from Nashville to Boston had to take evasive action to avoid a Lear 60 that was taking off without a takeoff clearance. According to the preliminary report, the pilot read back the ATC instructions correctly, but then decided to begin a takeoff roll instead of just waiting. The JetBlue flight performed a go-around, climbed out as the Learjet was crossing the intersecting runways, passing within 530 feet of each other, and this is the 5th high-profile runway incursion that we talked about in the last month or so, it feels like, and that we cover on this news update, so not a good thing. The last one, if you remember, this happened at Austin, where you have a FedEx flight that was coming on final. They were cleared, everybody was cleared, but they had to go around because somebody was on the runway taking off, a JetBlue flight or Southwest flight, and then avoided each other barely. And this seems like it's another situation of this, even though in this case it looks like a pilot error where they weren't clear to do what they did. So not a good thing, not a good trend that we like to see. The good news is every time it feels like the pilots are paying attention and getting out of the situation, but yeah, not something we like to report on. Another thing that we don't like to report on, which is this fourth and final story, which is a sad one, PC-12 acting as an air ambulance. It looks like it broke apart in flight, killing all 5 people on board of the airplane. At this time, the investigation is still going. Not sure why the aircraft broke apart, but they spent several days at the scene mapping the parts, and this unfortunately stretched over a mile-long wreckage, and they're trying to figure out what happened. Now, the crash happened during a storm that had heavy snow, it looks like, and then some wind gusting to 30 miles an hour. There was a number of 911 calls that were made out by residents that heard the aircraft and then heard weird noises, but due to the blizzard conditions, the authorities were not able to get to the wreckage for nearly 2 hours after it crashed. So very unfortunate. Our condolences go to the family of the victims, obviously, and we hope that we can hear and learn from what happened in this case. All right, that's all I got for you. As always, we'll see you next week, and you have a great weekend. No bloopers this week, no bloopers.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
That caused, well, some issues. We'll talk about that.
Hey, Greg. Can you start over?
That doesn't count as a blooper. You should have done that at the very end when I was gonna.
I want to see that meme.